What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Shiny Shuriken video, and today we are going to be kicking off a new series for the PWD, the Pokemon World Domination Draft League. Just want to tell you real quick, this is going to be a commissioner recap. We are going to be running through the prior week's matchups just with some key highlights and some overall performances from the teams and standings from the league, and then a look ahead to the next matchups. So let's jump right into it, and I'll show you guys what it's going to be looking like from a week-to-week perspective. Starting off, taking a look at our preseason power rankings, the New York Nickets grabbed the #1 spot with one of the most synergistic teams put together. A very strong Sun team with G-Max Venusaur leading the way, grabbing both Sunsetters and other support mons that work well in that Sun is going to be a very tough team to take down. #2, the Immortal Drampa, again following up with that extreme synergy with a very well put together electric terrain team, followed up with G-Max Cinderace, the strongest of the G-Maxers, and that #1 overall pick. The Stark Mountain Giratina coming in at #3 have a very well put together rain team with some other support mons that make this team very tough to take down. #4, the Straw Hat Crocodiles nabbed the other Cinderace, the non-G-Max version, with the Libero still going to cause havoc for teams across the board, and other strong pieces that get this team into #4. Tokyo Toxapex taking on the #5 spot with a very synergistic team, however not as strong as some of the top 4, but some opportunity for this team to really put together a team that is very tough to take down all around. Lake of Rage Gyarados get the #6 slot, grabbing the top Dynamaxer in the league, Gyarados, and a very tough to prep for Pokemon in Silvally. This Pokemon, of course, offers this team type advantage across the board through the season, and Gyarados will be tough to take down throughout all of its matchups. The Atlanta Sobble get the #7 slot. Rounding out the top half of this preseason ranking, it's a very well-balanced team from offensive and defensive sides with a solid G-Maxer and G-Max Blastoise. Moving down into the bottom half, the Fargo Phalanx start us off. I will be completely honest, I don't know how to rank my own team. This is the commissioner team, of course, with yours truly, Shiny Shuriken. I have some strong mons in here between my 2 ice duos with Alolan Ninetales and Alolan Sandslash, to my favorite G-Maxer in G-Max Inteleon, and a very strong new opportunity with Grassy Surge Rillaboom. So we'll see how the team fares throughout the season. The Nashville Needlekings start out #9. Again, another very strong team, sort of random pieces put together. We'll see how the team operates from a week-to-week perspective, and it'll be based on more how the coach performs after preseason rankings are completed. Los Angeles Infurimates, again, a similar situation. We can see where the team may be going, but again, it's just kind of coming up short a little bit on where the direction was headed. #11, the New York Noctowls, one of the newest coaches, led by Galarian Darmanitan. This team unfortunately had to pick post-draft, and if this team had been present during the draft, I wonder how good this team might be, maybe creeping into the top half of 1 through 7. #12, the Manchester Mimikyu and Coach PeekABoo, a very strong team, but lacking in certain areas. There will be some potential with Mimikyu, G-Max Charizard, some strong walls with Magneton, Bronzong, and Gastrodon. Let's see how this team performs this season. #13 is our Season 1 champion, Coach Ryan of the Sandwood City Quagsire. The team is tough to pick apart. We're not really sure of the direction of the team. This sitting here at #13 is more than likely going to change, as Ryan is a very seasoned battler, but without taking coach and past season accountability into perspective, this is the 13th team on our power rankings. The Lisbon Arcans rounds us out as a team. Again, we just couldn't see the direction of the team, and lacking a lot of the high-end threats that the other teams had, with an A-tier pick of Crocodile, an S-tier pick of Ditto, and a G-Maxer that we're just unsure of where this is going. So we'll see how the season plays out for Coach Squid. Power rankings were something very new for me to do. It was a challenge taking a preseason assessment and trying not to take any kind of perspective of the coaches' abilities, what I know about them and their past seasons and their performances from other draft leagues. So this was purely trying to be rated on a team standpoint, nothing from a coach perspective again. And I really hope that we can evolve these power rankings as the weeks go on, and we add the coach perspective in there. So expect to see some big movement in the first week of power rankings. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at our first week matchups. Looking at our week 1 matchups, we had Coach Bishme and the New York Knickets, who received the number 1 power ranking in preseason, going up against the number 5 Tokyo Toxapex for our premier matchup of the week. We needed to see how well this Sun team really operated versus the Tokyo Toxapex, and the match did not disappoint. So let's jump into it. Coach Bishme made the decision to switch in Charizard on Gallade, who still took massive damage from a Drain Punch, proving that this Gallade was really causing problems for the New York Knickets. Coach Bishme decided to have the solar-powered Charizard go for an Air Slash for the super effective damage on the Fighting-type Gallade. Coach James had ran some special defense investment along with an Assault Vest on this Gallade to prove that it could still take a hit. However, a massive flinch came in on this Charizard, resulting in Coach James having to readjust and pull the Gallade out. The only option was to go into Toxapex to try to vie for some new momentum. On the switch, though, the Solar Power Charizard decided that its new ability was Serene Grace, and as the Toxapex came in, the Charizard fired off another very powerful Air Slash, which resulted in a massive, game-changing critical hit. With the flinch back-to-back with the crit, it was a massive blow to the Tokyo Toxapex, and one very hard one to recover from for Coach James. The Tokyo Toxapex tried their best to battle back, but through some misplays allowed the New York Knickets to pick up the 3-0 win and move to 1-0 on the season, and to uphold that number 1 slot in the power rankings. The Tokyo Toxapex fall to 0-1 on their season start, but have a lot of potential, as this team did give some problems for the New York Knickets in the number 1 overall power team. The Charizard came in clutch, picking up 2 kills and going down itself with a key flinch and crit back-to-back, as you saw on that Gallade and Toxapex, which really changed the momentum early on to Coach Bishme's favor. Coach James did bring in the Haxorus and pick up the only kill for the Tokyo Toxapex, but it also had to get a Dragon Dance off and Dynamax to do so. Coach Bishme's New York Knickets are going to be a tough one to beat in this league. The next week 1 matchup, the Lisbon Arcans took on the Immortal Drampa, and this synergistic team built around the electric terrain came ready and prepared, but the Lisbon Arcans showed that the 14th overall ranked power ranked team for the preseason can surprise you, so let's jump into it. A great match ruined by Joy-Con Drift, Coach Squid wanting to recover stall out the Cinderace's Gigantamax, but the Joy-Con Drift selecting Scald and moving up to the top selection. Coach Carlos is able to Gigantamax now because of this and put enough damage out on the Quagsire that nothing will be able to come back from it. The recover may have sealed a victory for Coach Squid, but we won't know, as the Immortal Drampa go ahead and pick up this win. Of course, that unfortunate Joy-Con Drift does result in the Lisbon Arcans falling to the Immortal Drampa's 1-0. Who knows if that recover stall on the G-Max would have been enough to complete the match. Of course, you still would have had Cinderace vying for attacks, and there's the potential for the high jump kick miss on the Cinderace, which could have moved the match in Coach Squid's favor. So we'll see for them to rebound in week 2. The Cinderace was well played, preserving Gigantamax for the very end, as Cinderace cleans up the match and picks up 2 kills to no deaths. And the Ditto was played beautifully by Coach Squid with a 1-1 kill-death ratio on the Halucha Steel, netting big damage on the Immortal Drampas. So well played to both coaches, and let's move on to our next match. Our next match sees Season 1 champion Coach Ryan and the Cianwood City Quagsire taking on Coach Shade of Defeat and the Straw Hat Crocodile. Shade of Defeat, of course, a newcomer to the PWD, having his work cut out for him on his season premiere. Coach Shade starts off his PWD season extremely strong against the Season 1 champion, leading Zoroark against Indeedee, but more so strategically playing it so that the Zoroark comes out looking like the Poison-type Toxtricity and wanting to bait Coach Ryan into KOing this thing off the bat with an expanding force under that Psychic Surge. Coach Shade struggles here on the first turn play, though, wanting to go for the nasty plot, knowing that he has that trickery up his sleeve. However, the Dark Pulse to take out the number 1 threat, Indeedee, would have been the ultimate play, as it would have put Coach Ryan immediately in a hole and playing from behind. Coach Shade makes the safe play and goes for the nasty plot, which is not the worst play, and gives him the opportunity to set up a very scary-looking Zoroark, and understanding that he has the opportunity to take out more than just the Indeedee here. The toughest part of that first turn play and not going for the Dark Pulse KO on Indeedee is that we find out that the Indeedee was Choice Scarf the entire time, resulting in that Indeedee outspeeding the rest of Shade's team, and is going to be too problematic for him to rebound from with that expanding force under that Psychic terrain, and that Indeedee is going to go ahead and clean up this team as it takes out Zoroark with a Dazzling Gleam and clears the way for that thing to go off with expanding force for the rest of the match. A tough decision for any coach to make, as Coach Shade wanted to go for the setup opportunity with a perfect leadoff of the Disguised Toxtricity Zoroark combo up against that Psychic Indeedee, and bluffing very, very well, went for the nasty plot to set up and take out more than just the Indeedee. However, that turn 1 Dark Pulse could have changed the entire environment of that battle and possibly led to a win for the Straw Hat Crocodiles, as the Straw Hat Crocodile do fall to the Sandwood City Quagsire 0-2. And Coach Shade will fall to 0-1 on his season premiere, while the Season 1 champion moves to 1-0 and continues that undefeated streak from Season 1. Key victories were the Zoroark picking up 2 kills to the 1 death and moving to +6 on special attack, along with Dynamaxing and taking out Pokemon left and right, trying to set up and go off. The Zoroark having a very strong showing here in Week 1, but the Indeedee outperforming with a 4 kill to 1 death ratio. That expanding force under Psychic terrain just too much for Coach Shade to handle, and the Choice Scarf proving to be the key item victory for Coach Ryan, as the Indeedee was able to still outspeed the likes of Cinderace and the rest of the Straw Hat Crocodiles. Let's take a look at our next matchup. The Stark Mountain Giratinas and Coach Manny take on the LA Infernapes and Coach Sosa in a really great matchup of some strong teams here. The Stark Mountain Giratina with a Rain Core versus the LA Infernapes with some very strong pieces and a tough team to place in the power rankings. So let's jump into it and see how these Titans matched up. Coach Sosa makes a phenomenal early play, switching in Rotom as the Mudsdale is going for Heavy Slam. Rotom is able to absorb this hit phenomenally, not taking too much damage. Now the Rotom is looking down a very tough to beat Mudsdale, who has great defenses along with that stamina boost. But Coach Sosa makes a phenomenal play here and goes for the Will-O-Wisp, knowing that Rotom is of course faster than Mudsdale and can burn its attack stat before it's able to hit it with anything such as Stone Edge or Rock Slide. As the burn goes off, we get to see that Mudsdale does in fact have the Rock Slide on it, and it's not going to do much damage at all to this Rotom. And Coach Sosa has set this Rotom up to be a problem for the Stark Mountain Giratinas and Coach Manny, and has crippled this Mudsdale. A phenomenal chess match between two amazing coaches resulted in 5 remaining Pokemon for each coach as the timer came up to rob us of yet another classic match. With the Dynamax Kingdra in, Coach Sosa makes the misplay and does not Gigantamax Hatterene, but the Focus Sash holds it on, and Coach Sosa plays Trick Room as Coach Manny goes for the Steel Spike to KO the Hatterene. Had Coach Sosa Gigantamax and gone for the G-Max Smite, the damage on Kingdra may have rolled the match into Coach Sosa's favor. However, the Stark Mountain Giratinas are going to pick up the W here due to HP on the 5-5 timer win. A great match, like I said, taken away by the timer. We had 2 phenomenal coaches just going back and forth, making the right plays. And the Stark Mountain Giratina are going to pick up the 5-5 HP win on the LA Infernapes. Coach Manny is going to see his season premiere and his PWD premiere move to 1-0, while Coach Sosa and his PWD premiere moves to 0-1 on a tough loss that maybe could have rolled, like I said, on that HP if the Hatterene had Gigantamax and gone for the G-Max Smite. Some key components to the match, of course, were the Kingdra getting that Dynamax off in the Dynamax Gigantamax League, setting up its own rain, making sure that it was fast enough to take on anything, and picking up that very important kill in the process. Rotom being the key component for the LA Infernapes, taking away Mudsdale from the use on the Stark Mountain Giratina side and picking up a kill along the way as well. And performing just phenomenally. So great match, great play from two new coaches. Let's hop into our next matchup. Up next is another set of newcomers to the PWD. Coach PeekABoo and the Manchester Mimikyu are taking on Coach Southside and the Nashville Nidokings. Coach Southside was able to get a swords dance off on Alolan Marowak looking across from a Turtonator. It ended up taking half damage, but on the next turn, Coach PeekABoo makes the adjustment and switches out to Gastrodon, who ends up taking a Dynamax hit from +2 Alolan Marowak, with Max Rockfall coming down to do massive damage on one of the bigger walls. Coach PeekABoo unfortunately had to take this damage with one of his primary walls to a point where it was not going to be able to recover off that damage, and it was not looking good for the Manchester Mimikyus. Coach PeekABoo did have to make an adjustment, but the easy play for Coach Southside and the Nashville Nidokings was to play an easy coverage move with Max Phantasm, going for the stab +2 from this Dynamax situation here. Coach PeekABoo feels the move to make is a switch out to Bronzong, and unfortunately this is going to be massive damage on the Psychic type Bronzong, who's going to get one shot after Rock's damage. And it's going to be a big devastating blow, as Bronzong was the primary Trick Room setter for the Manchester Mimikyus, and Alolan Marowak is proving to do some massive damage out here, not letting Coach PeekABoo recover from this movement, and is going to grab the momentum and set themselves up to allow the other offensive bulky mons from the Nashville Nidokings to grab this W. The Nashville Nidokings and Coach Southside go on to grab the 4-0 victory over the Manchester Mimikyus, as Coach Southside moves to 1-0, with Coach PeekABoo moving to 0-1. The MVP for Week 1 and the Coach of the Week goes to both Nashville Nidokings and his Alolan Marowak, who picked up the 1-to-1 kill-death ratio and set the team up to really do a lot of damage. And put Pokemon in range for Dragapult, who moves into the league leader in kills, gets to clean up the rest of the match with Dragon Darts and an assortment, and just a fantastic showing in Week 1 here from the Nashville Nidokings. Manchester Mimikyu will be looking to bounce back. That Trick Room set in Week 1 just didn't work out in their favor, and we'll look for them to come back stronger in the coming weeks. Let's go ahead and hop into our next matchup. Your PWD Commissioner and the Fargo Phalanx are taking on returning Coach Arts and the Lake of Rage Gyarados. He has been rebranded this season and is coming in under the number 2 pick in the top Dynamax Pokemon of Gyarados. Let's see how the matchup turned out. A tough matchup for the Fargo Phalanx as they went back and forth with the Lake of Rage Gyarados. Coach Shiny Shuriken trying their best to get some momentum back, but the Sticky Webs from Vikavolt proving to be the number 1 play from the match, as there was just no speed to go up against this Rage, which is the Gyarados. And Gyarados is just going to go ahead and Dynamax and do, you know it, those Gyarados things. Going to go for the max Airstream to boost its speed, with the Moxie, of course, giving that attack boost. And as this Gyarados stares down a team that has rocks and webs to deal with as they come in, it's going to be able to get it off and seal this win. But as Gyarados moves through the Fargo Phalanx, Coach Arts makes a misplay and withdraws. Going back to game plan of making sure that Hail can never be set in the matchup, and kind of forgetting that the Gyarados is completely set up to take down the rest of the team with no hope in sight for the Fargo Phalanx. This allows Coach Shiny Shuriken to preserve some differential and get some damage off and preserve this matchup to timer, and is going to make Coach Arts pay for the decision to withdraw a setup Gyarados. A tough Week 1 matchup sees the Fargo Phalanx fall to 0-1 with the 2-4 timer loss to the Lake of Rage Gyarados. Coach Arts gets that 1-0 season premiere, playing beautifully with the Gyarados as it got set up, but making the massive misplay and missing out on the 4-0, and switching out to preserve some differential while trying to stop some Hail and sticking to their game plan. Gmax and Teleon made a good showing, getting a 2-1 kill-death ratio without Gigantamaxing, and Raichu going for the Dynamax on the Fargo Phalanx side, trying to stop that monster that is Dynamax Gyarados. Lake of Rage Gyarados will start out hot with a good movement in the power rankings. Let's jump into our next matchup and see how the next set did. Our final matchup in week 1 is the New York Noctowls and our newest coach, Coach New, taking on the Atlanta Sobble and the returning coach, actually Amoonguss. Let's go ahead and hop in and see how the veteran and the newcomer fared. A tough matchup for Coach New, who drafted their team post-draft, picking up a slot as one of the coaches that bailed from the league. And Coach New performed extremely well in week 1 against Coach Amoonguss, who set up a very nice team in the draft. The Blastoise was able to get away from Coach New a little bit with a Shell Smash and a Gigantamax setting up the Cannonade, so each Mon was taking some continuous damage. Coach New had sacrificed a couple of Mons to get to this moment here to Dynamax Magnezone. However, a possible misplay of not bringing in the Magnezone just a little bit earlier may have cost Coach New some opportunities to utilize some of his other Pokemon down the stretch to keep himself in this matchup. Blastoise not able to take out the Dynamax Magnezone, and Magnezone able to finally take down the Goliath of Blastoise here, but it's a little bit too late here as the Magnezone is low on health, and with Tangrowth and Hitmonchan remaining on the Sobble's side, Coach Amoonguss is going to be able to finish this one off. An unfortunate misplay on the final play of the match sees Coach New go for rest under his own electric terrain, and the Tangrowth is able to finish off Sandaconda and put away the New York Noctowls on their PWD premiere. Expect more from Coach New in week 2. And concluding our week 1 matchups, the New York Noctowl will fall to the Atlanta Sobble 0-2. The newest coach of the PWD gets that 0-1 premiere to his season, but with a very strong showing against the veteran, actually Amoonguss. Amoonguss, of course, moving to that 1-0 with that 2-0 victory over the New York Noctowls, used their G-Max Blastoise pick superbly, picking up 3 kills to 1 death. The G-Max just proving to be too much to handle on a Shell Smash combo set. But Coach New using Slowking and that Regenerator ability very well to move around and get defensive pivot support, even picking up a kill in the process. So great match to these two coaches, and look for both of them to continue the strong showing in week 2. That concludes the Commissioner recap of week 1. We are going to continue to do weekly recaps here of all of the matches with a little bit of video from each one of our talented content creators, our coaches. Very excited for what we have coming. Let's go ahead and jump into the changes in the power rankings after week 1 and take a look at our week 2 matches. Looking at the power rankings at the end of week 1, the 1, 2, and 3 spots all remain same, with the New York Nickets, Immortal Drampa, and Starkmountain Giratina holding on for victories, with not enough to really change the power ranking from their preseason assessment. The New York Nickets and Immortal Drampa, of course, almost lost their week 1 matches if not for some RNG and some possible drift causing that win. But the Starkmountain Giratina coming out strong with that 5-5 game, unfortunately going to timer, but still looking very strong from their play perspective. The Lake of Rage Gyarados move up 2 slots with their 4-2 win, along with the Atlanta Sobble coming in with 2 slot movement as well with their 2-0 win. The Nashville Nidokings make movement on 3 slots, going up to number 6 with their solid and decisive 4-0 victory. Unfortunately, the Straw Hat Crocodiles falling down 3 slots after some misplays and opportunities from taking out Ndidi make this team fall to 0-1 and lose some of their power ranking slots. The New York Noctowls, with an extremely strong showing, lost their season premiere, however made some movement in the power rankings as they had the Atlanta Sobble on the ropes. The Tokyo Toxapex do drop 4 slots in one of the biggest falls of the week, unfortunately not making enough stride on the number 1 team, the New York Nickets. The Sandwood City Quagsire move up 3 slots after a very good win. The Lisbon Arcanines move up 3 slots after having a extremely strong showing against the number 2 team and losing possibly only to Joy-Con Drift, where their movement could have been more. So a very strong start for the Lisbon Arcanines. The Los Angeles Infernapes fall 2 slots after their loss to Timer, but look for them to rebound very well in Week 2. The Fargo Phalanx have the largest fall with 5 slots to number 13 after a 2-4 Timer loss. And the Manchester Mimikyu fall 2 slots to the final position at number 14. Taking a look ahead at our Week 2 matchups, we have the updated power ranking standings for each team here. A couple of premier matchups coming in, and a 1-2 matchup for the New York Knickets versus the Immortal Drampa. That will be highlighting Week 2. Also, look for the fast-rising Cianwood City Quagsire taking on the hot Atlanta Sables. And a real nice matchup in the middle between the Lake of Rage Gyarados and the Straw Hat Crocodile. Week 2 is sure to pack a punch, so make sure you tune in to all of the content creators that are putting up matches for the PWD, and make sure to check back here weekly for the Commissioner Recap. Again, that's going to do it for us here on the Commissioner Recap for Week 1 of the PWD. I hope you guys are really enjoying all the content we're able to put out, having 11 to 12 content creators in this league. We're going to have so much more coming out from a week-to-week perspective with other recaps, analysis videos, and of course the matches. So make sure you guys check out the links of all of the talented coaches and content creators down below. I'll have that linked up in the description. Make sure you go out, show them some love, drop some likes, drop some subs. Make sure you guys check out their content, show some love on those videos as well, and make sure you guys are following for all of the PWD action all season long. I will catch you next time for the next Commissioner Recap in Week 2.